Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the FireStorm Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be addressing something that is a little bit weird and something that hasn't really ever been seen before in the wrestling ever. Like, we've not really ever experienced anything quite like this in watching wrestling, no matter how many years you've watched it. We're going to be addressing the recent events as what we're calling the empty arena era, or what the community has deemed the empty arena era. Sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't say that right the first time.
Arena. That's right. The empty arena era is the era that's been brought forth thanks to COVID-19.
Our favorite boy.
And the favorite boy that nearly got our channel deleted.
Hey.
So... yeah, this era is basically ever since no fans are allowed to attend shows. That's what we're calling it.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we're going to discuss about the changes both AEW, WWE, and other companies have had to make in order to adapt to this new climate, and if things will change in the future. Because I've noticed... there's been a lot of interesting matches that have happened because of it. There's been a lot of interesting circumstances which have led to things changing, and I just thought it would be a good idea to talk about it because, well, all of our other videos on wrestling kind of were out of date immediately. Yep. Like, we did our WrestleMania predictions video the day after we recorded it. It was announced it was going to take place over 2 days and at the Performance Center.
Yep.
And all that shit, so we were immediately out of date.
Yeehaw.
So I'm glad we were going to record this a few days ago, I think, but then I was thinking of recording this when I came up with the idea of doing this. We were just like, all right, let's do it, and then we didn't. And then FTR debuted for AEW, and I was like, oh, okay, thank fuck we didn't do it straight away.
Yeah.
Because FTR is now at AEW.
I mean, as if there was any doubt.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, no.
Yeah, there was never any doubt
going to happen.
They were going to show up there. So
it was going to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so let's talk. How have you, what do you think between AEW and WWE? Who has adapted better to the empty arena era?
It's hard to say because I think AEW I don't necessarily think that, having wrestlers in the audience is a novel idea by any means. I don't think that it was like it should be originally credited. Oh yeah, it was AEW's idea first. Like, it's not like that creative. Obviously, wrestling is largely dependent on some kind of audience. So having immediately you would jump to AEW because they were able to more quickly adapt to the empty arena stuff by just putting their wrestlers that were on the card in the audience, which is a very smart idea, but not necessarily a novel one. So I think that with WWE recently doing that as well, I don't think you can say like, oh, WWE copied AEW. It's not that kind of argument. But I will say that in the weeks where AEW had an audience and WWE didn't, it was noticeably more. You were able to get into the show more with Dynamite than you were with a lot of the other wrestling shows on, because it's just more entertaining with an audience. You're able to more invest in what's actually going on because you hear like the reactions of the people in the audience, and it affects how you perceive the wrestling going on as well. And I will say when they started and everyone had empty arenas, it was tough to watch at times because it's hard. It's not just hard for the wrestlers to put together a good match without an audience. It's also hard for us as the viewers to really get into it because there were some good matches on the WrestleMania card, but it was just hard to really appreciate them and really get into them without a crowd there. I think Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley could have been way better in front of an audience, for example, because the crowd would have been fully behind Rhea Ripley, and I think it would have been a great match instead of just a decent match.
You could say the same thing for Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar because just I'm imagining that pop that would have happened when Drew won.
Yeah.
Like that would have been explosive.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that would have been amazing.
Yeah, and like Seth versus Kevin Owens was great. That would have been way better with an audience, especially with Kevin's high spot. Stuff like that. Like it really needed an audience. And I think even Edge and Randy Orton's Last Man Standing match probably would have felt a lot less slow and dragged out with an audience.
I think they wouldn't have dragged it out so long if there was an audience. Yeah. I feel like that had, like, in all honesty, you could say that was, that you could say in hand with like the Firefly Funhouse match. No, yeah, it was the Firefly Funhouse match, yeah. And you could say in hand with that and the Boneyard match that it was also a cinematic match because of how far back into the office and everything they went. Like, agreed. You could also say it hand in hand. But
yeah, and you know what? I will say, as much as the negatives that have come out of the empty arena stuff, I'm kind of glad AJ Styles and Undertaker didn't have an actual wrestling match.
Oh yeah,
because the Boneyard match was probably infinitely better than what they would have produced in the ring. Not to say, because AJ Styles is getting on, but he's incredible in the ring still. Undertaker, not so much.
Definitely for the Undertaker's sake.
Yes,
I am inclined to agree.
Yeah.
I just want to backpedal for 2 seconds about the empty crowd situation. I feel like, not only do I feel like AEW is taking care of it better because not only did they introduce it first, but they've actually got other members of the roster in the crowd, which enables really good storytelling moments to take place during matches where other rivals and other friends in the crowd are able to, like, put their 2 cents in, even though they're technically the audience. Like MJF in the crowd has been fucking magnificent. Yeah. Like, whenever he's able to, like, talk shit on Cody Rhodes or anything like that, that's the one thing I feel like AEW's done better. Yeah. It did take a while for WWE to implement crowds, but the crowds they have are all performance center newbies. Like, they're all like indie wrestlers that have joined WWE and are training in the performance center. They're not noticeable people.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, like, there's one guy that I remember Tom Campbell was talking about because he was a UK indie wrestler, and it was just like, yeah, all right, that's pretty cool, but I know, yeah, I know it will be odd for WWE, such a big company, to bring, they have such an expansive roster, but for them to bring in half of their roster just to sit in the crowd and watch matches, I know they couldn't do the same thing as AEW, but I feel like AEW has definitely handled it like 110% better. But I do feel like the quality of the empty arena matches have stood out compared to AEW. I know AEW's got a fucking plethora of awesome matches that they have done not in front of an audience, like the tag team match that led on to the Stadium Stampede match and everything. Like, they were all magnificent, but I do feel like WWE has just edged them out with the level of the absurdity in the matches.
Yeah.
Although the Stadium Stampede match was pretty
that's an
absurd
entity all on its own.
Yeah, I feel like the two standouts are this Stadium Stampede and the Firefly Funhouse, just because they were both fucking mental.
Yes, they were.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
what were you gonna say?
Yeah. I don't know. Going back to what you were saying just then, what were we saying before I?
Oh God, I don't remember. I wasn't. I kind of lost all my train of thought. It's fine though. I think, definitely the thing about it with the whole putting roster members in the audience, AEW, and it shows very obviously they have more creative freedom because of the whole Tony Khan thing, and how fucking rich he is.
And how lenient he is compared to
and it helps that he's actually a wrestling fan and wants to see good wrestling. So just the way that they have more creative freedom.
That's the stark difference. Tony Khan is a wrestling fan and wants to create a good wrestling show, whereas Vince McMahon wants to be an entertainer and he wants to entertain fans. He doesn't want to make a wrestling show. Yeah. He wants to make an entertainment show.
Right.
So that's the stark difference and why a lot of people have gravitated towards AEW during this era.
And they're obviously they have much more creative freedom, and WWE being however many billion-dollar corporation they are, they have a lot of sponsors they have to deal with and clear things with. So it's no wonder they have to put the plexiglass up, and it makes it look stupid. Admittedly, it makes it look really stupid, but it's understandable given their circumstances. So at least it's better than nothing. That's what I'm going to say, is that, I'd rather have the NXT trainees in there rather than no one. So it just it just helps it so much having an audience there. But yeah, even with the completely empty arenas, there are plenty of good matches in NXT. I always gravitate more towards NXT just because I'm more familiar with the talent in NXT compared to AEW. But the more I watch AEW, the more I'm like, these guys are really cool, because it's almost like Dynamite to me, because NXT seems just like a pure wrestling show. Like, there's just so much wrestling all the time. There's not a whole lot of promos, and when there are, they're very brief. But AEW is like a combination of the good wrestling and also the sports entertainment, because you can't call, as Ross said on a recent video that he did for Cultaholic, you can't say that AEW is not sports entertainment, because what was the Stadium Stampede? Was that wrestling? Because it wasn't.
No, that's true.
It was not wrestling. It was sports entertainment. So,
and then you look at the antics, like the Best Friends and everything Chris Jericho does. So, just by him being a phenomenal wrestler, he's also a homegrown entertainer. Yes. He knows what's funny.
So to me, AEW is almost like a combination of the good wrestling from NXT and the sports entertainment and larger than life personalities from older WWE, because there are some good personalities on main roster WWE, but not a whole lot. But it feels like AEW gets across their characters very well. Like, they so seamlessly, easily get across who each wrestler is as a personality. So it helps with having all of that creative freedom, and I guess not having a 75-year-old man in charge of your scripts. But that's what it seems like to me. It's definitely a preference thing. Like, the more I watch Dynamite, I'm always entertained by Dynamite. But if you especially because there's so much funny antics almost all the time. So if you're just looking for like pure entertainment, definitely Dynamite is the way to go. It's so, especially with the way the wrestlers can just be themselves all the time. Well, not really be themselves, but play their characters that way they want to. In the way they imagine it. Like Jon Moxley, for example, is a great example of him being able to take his character in the direction he wants to take it. Because Jon Moxley is infinitely more captivating than Dean Ambrose ever was. So
yeah,
that's what I'll say. I think the quality of the matches has been slightly better on NXT, but it's especially that cage fight between Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher that happened this week. Wow, beautiful! That was amazing. So
I've just come up with this idea. Like, would you say that because NXT and how grounded and how familiar everyone is with NXT, that NXT has a more consistent show going on with their fantastic wrestling and all the consistent matches? Like, would you say that NXT is a more consistent show?
Absolutely, yes.
But AEW is just, they're still finding their place and finding their ground and adapting to changes, but they're just a little bit more of an entertaining show But I completely agree with that idea that AEW is just a mixture of main roster and NXT. It's got the best of both worlds. Like, I do think, NXT has more consistent standout matches, but I can't look past AEW when they're fucking ginormous, orgasmic fucking explosions that fucking happen, like a stadium stampede or a fucking something like that. Like, it's incredible to see, but I get what you're saying. The only thing that's actually gotten worse throughout all this, in my opinion, is main roster. Like, I do think the week-to-week shows are pretty trash, but I can enjoy the pay-per-views when I get into them, but like, they've started to find their feet now, but it's still, like, not great. It's still 5-minute matches that don't have a lot to show for it. It's just all continuing the stories, and like, some of the stories are good, but then not a lot of the matches on the main roster week-to-week shows are good at all.
Yeah,
there's some.
I do agree that they should give more time to a lot of the matches. At the same time, recently, I think they've definitely been improving and in significantly, like, very noticeably improving. Especially, I think the Intercontinental Championship tournament on SmackDown has been doing wonders for the quality of wrestling, because we got Styles Nakamura, which got plenty of time on a recent SmackDown. Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus happened on the most recent SmackDown that got over 15 minutes and not 18 seconds.
Yeah, but how much of that was ads, though?
I don't know. Not very much, though. And I mean, you could, if you want to make that argument, you could make that argument for every other wrestling show out there. AEW ads are just as bad.
Yeah.
So, because matches on Dynamite don't go past 15 minutes. Never. As usual, like, almost, like, very, especially in the empty arena area. Like, you could make, like, Kenny Omega Pac with the 30-minute Iron Man match. Like, they wouldn't put on a 30-minute Iron Man match in the empty arena area. That's the thing. So with the minimal crowd, matches usually never go past 15 minutes. Like, even the cage fight wasn't that long. But just because they have so much they want to do all the time, and they only have a 2-hour show to put it on. So I do wish some of the matches would be longer, especially on main roster. There's just, they try to do so much, but having people not be on TV every week, like, they don't need to overexpose certain people every single week. Like, you don't have to have every champion on every weekly show. It's not entirely necessary, especially during a time when fans aren't in the arenas. Because a lot of people will pay to see those champions, and that's great. But it's just, especially when you're not having paying fans enter the arena, it's not necessarily a necessity, I guess, to repeat myself, to have your champions on every single week. Because the overexposure, as we've seen with someone like Charlotte Flair, who's on every brand all the time for no reason, can definitely detract from your character and make you just annoyed with a wrestler or whatever. So I don't even remember how I got to this point. But either way, my train of thought is a bit crap. But
that's all right. I can talk. I can bring up something that you were just saying. Like, I 100% agree. Like, and understand that AEW with the 2 hours, and like even SmackDown with the 2 hours, they can't go for giant long matches. But like, to that point, I feel like the weekly AEW matches, even though they're short, like they have to be because, you know, time limit and they have ads, they're still more impressive and more interesting than any of the week-to-week stuff. I do like the Intercontinental Championship tournament. I do agree with that. It has been a standout, but I hate the way they've gone about getting rid of some of the competitors. Like the whole Jeff Hardy thing. Like that. Like, what the fuck? I mean, that like that's the one thing I don't like. If they set up something like a tournament, like in my mind, it's just like you want every match of that tournament to play out, but then they just give a bullshit reason for someone not to be in it and to disqualify someone or something like that. Like that's just an internal pet peeve.
Sure.
But I feel like the weekly AEW shows have just been more interesting than the weekly Raw and SmackDown.
Obviously,
know NXT, despite me not watching NXT as much as I should, I do know how consistent their matchups are, and they have good storylines as well. I do think the whole Charlotte Flair thing is a bit, I don't know. You're right, a bit much. We're getting too much Charlotte Flair. So I agree with that, but yeah, it's just in my mind, everything I've seen produced from AEW is just a whole heap more interesting. Although I'm not interested in the Mike Tyson thing. I'll be completely honest about that.
No one is. It's kind of crap.
I don't give a
It's
fuck.
far and away the worst thing AEW have done in a while. Aside from the woman, what is the female equivalent of the Dark Order that didn't catch on. That was crap. I hated that.
The Nightmare Collective.
Oh my god, that was terrible. God, that was fucking awful.
If it was just Awesome Kong going around stealing people's hair and kicking ass, then that would have been fine. But no, it was a whole collective.
Honestly,
led
the
by
stupidity that was the Nightmare
face,
Collective
half-heel.
made Lana's cucking storyline almost tolerable. God, it was so bad. Oh, anyway.
So, the only thing I actually like coming out of Raw is Drew McIntyre continuously kicking ass. But then again, the stables that they're starting to build up on Raw and SmackDown are actually interesting to me. Like Seth Rollins'
with Austin Theory.
Austin
Theory's a great fit for Seth's little gang.
Although, like, you kind of know Seth's going to be tapping out soon because he's gonna have a kid. Like, you do know he's going to be leaving in the next few months. So they're trying to build something up there. And MVP's gang, like Brendan Thing, Shane Thorne, Bobby Lashley, like, although they haven't done a lot with them entirely as a group because he's gone from the tag team to Bobby Lashley, if he combines them all together and does something with that group, that would be pretty interesting. Yeah. But at the moment, it's just him and Bobby being bros and Lana being angry.
I don't know why they put Lana on shows anymore.
I feel like it's just to punish her for Rusev. Or
why would they
Miro,
release Rusev and not Lana?
Because they know Lana
is hot,
can draw eyes.
That's it. That's her only redeeming quality. If you can call it that.
I don't know. But like those are the things I've been enjoying on main roster, but then like every storyline on AEW I've been 10 times more intrigued with. Although, yeah, as we said, they're doing the classic WWE thing of bringing an old timer and make them get them involved too much. Like when they got Bret Hart to present the AEW Championship, perfectly fine, didn't care, that was good. When they had Mike Tyson just in to just show off the TNT title, fine, perfect, no problem. But now it looks like they're trying to set up a match, and Chris Jericho says he wants a match.
Ugh.
No. Please, that's not what we want. We don't want gray-haired Mike Tyson trying to punch 50-year-old Chris Jericho. Like, I don't care how good Chris Jericho is. Like, I just don't want to see that. Unless they're gonna go off the wall, do some bollocks with it, and not actually have it be a wrestling match, then we'll see. Yeah. But it's not.
Can't say I'm enthused about that one. I will say there's not a whole lot of it's kind of like I don't know how to compare it to actually, but a lot of AEW's matches they're more like they're almost indie-ish in the way that they're just kind of set up, and sometimes they'll end up furthering storylines. But a lot of times they're just random matches, and they're good matches, but they're just kind of there. So it's not really a complaint. It's more like an observation. It's just like, yeah, these matches, they just kind of exist. And even though they're good, they don't really accomplish much other than being visually and being visually cool and I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, and just being entertaining. Like so that would be like my only minor complaint. It's not really even a complaint because I just like watching wrestling. But the one thing I will say is that the storylines they do have going on, especially the long-term ones like Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, that shit is fire. I love the Hangman Page stuff they have going right now. It's a shame that they kind of had to put it on hold with the whole empty arena stuff, but when he brought that horse into the Stadium Stampede, man, I was out of my seat. So yeah, that stuff they have going on, and the inevitable storyline they're about to create with FTR and the Young Bucks. Oh, I can only dream. It's going because they can't do us dirty and do it during a time where fans aren't allowed in the arenas. They have to build up to it.
One thing I'm hoping is that whatever storyline between like the Butcher and the Blade like attacking the Young Bucks, like I want something to be like Kenny and Hangman try to help the Young Bucks out, and then maybe the FTR make tension between them instead of being immediate heels. They're just helping them out because respect, but they're actually dicks and they're purposely
they're better
setting
as
up
heels, for sure.
Setting up like a division.
Imagine
in the group,
your name
and then
being Cash Wheeler. That is the worst thing.
Dax Harwood. I literally
have no problem with Dax Harwood. Cash Wheeler.
I think both of
Wheeler. God, that's terrible.
He wheels cash around
terrible.
in his dick.
God, that sucks so much.
As I was saying, one thing I want them to do is like create a bit of division in the Elite, and then maybe during a tag team match, Hangman betrays Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks pick up the titles, and then FTR is just like, okay, this is what we wanted. We wanted to face you guys for the titles, and then Kenny and Hangman can have their rivalry, and then the Young Bucks and FTR can fight for the titles. I don't know how exactly they'll go about that, but they got to build something up while there's no fans, because you're right, they do need to have those blowouts in front of fans, in front of an
fans
audience.
Would eat that shit up, and it would be amazing. They have to do it in front of fans.
By the way, the only thing I want from this is that whatever FTR's theme song is, it has to start with "Say Yeah."
It's not gonna happen.
That's all I want. They can. What about "Say No"? Say no.
Maybe.
I don't know. They need. I feel like it would be funny if they had that. But why wouldn't they be able to have "Say Yeah"?
I think it's too associated with WWE. I don't think they want to associate with their previous WWE personas. I just don't think it's gonna happen. But if it did, I would be okay with it because I like Say Yeah as much as everyone else. But I just don't. I just think it's funny. Just whenever someone has made the jump from WWE to AEW, there's almost no reference to their previous incarnations, except unless your name is Chris Jericho. But
the lexicon of Le Jericho, the champion.
It's tough to say, but yeah, I don't think they're gonna have Say Yeah in their song. But I hope they at least have something cool, because in fact, I think it's probably gonna be completely different. I don't even think it's gonna have that whole country vibe it had last time. I think it's probably gonna be something like probably more heavy. I think it's probably gonna be some rock shit. Hopefully, anyway. It could be anything. I could be very wrong about that. But, I'd rather be happy than wrong. Or right. I'd rather be happy than right. Yeah.
I'd rather be happy than wrong.
I'd rather be happy than right. So, yeah, I'm willing to... let's just see what they do for the theme. What I think they should be doing, actually, is... As far as music goes... They've been doing pretty good so far, but I want them to do more stuff with like how what Kenny Omega did, where he got Little V to do his theme song. We need more shit like that.
Yeah.
We need more outside collaborations for songs, because not only is that like cross promotion, but it's just cool to see musicians involved with such cool things like that.
Although that is freaking epic, but the one complaint I have about that is on iTunes and Spotify and all that, it doesn't, like, it has Battle Cry on there from All Elite Wrestling, but it doesn't have anything like featuring Little V in the description of it, which I think is an insult to Little V. He deserves that much for creating an awesome tune.
But I think he was probably paid handsomely as well. So I don't think he's too concerned.
And he got to upload it. And he got to
I don't think
upload
he's
it
too
on his
concerned.
Channel, so.
Because in fact, he probably created it and gave the rights to AEW, which probably is why they don't have to credit him.
I know, but I wish they did. I wish they just put featuring Little V in it. Like, that would be nice. But I do agree, like, the music is pretty good. Like, a lot of it's decent, but if they are a little bit more indie, if they are a little bit more willing, then yeah, get some outside collaborations in. Not Snoop Dogg. He belongs to WWE and such a band. So just get other people in.
Just stuff. I don't know. I like seeing musicians I like being involved with cool stuff like that. Not really because I'm jealous. It's more just like I'm proud. Like, it's just this feeling of pride. Like, hey, I know that guy. He's done this awesome thing for a thing I also know. That's epic. So that's kind of the feeling I have. Because honestly, if I was tasked with creating someone's theme song, I would probably just be stressed the fuck out. But Little V's, well, what a guy. Anyway,
yeah. I want to talk also a little bit about other indie promotions that have been, well, some of them indie, some of them aren't really, some of them are big, but a lot of other promotions that have been hit hard because of the virus. Like, I think of New Japan Pro Wrestling and stuff like that, because of how different the situation is in Japan. Like, they've completely cut back all their shows. They've got nothing running, not in front of empty arena shows. They've just got nothing. Yeah. And then ROH, Ring of Honor as well, like, they've cut back everything, and it's like, it's upsetting to see because of all the champions and all the storylines they had built up, and and now it's all frozen. It's all on hold. No advancement, because like, usually throughout anything, wrestling stays consistent, and that's what AEW and WWE have done. They've kept going, but like, a lot of other companies just haven't been able to survive. But actually, another thing as well, we've actually got an interview, a guest episode with a pro wrestler coming up this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And I hope you guys are keen to see that. It's pretty interesting. We'll learn a little bit about the industry and everything, so stay tuned and subscribe for that, because you don't want to miss it. It's pretty good. And it
is a good one.
And that's epic. Anyway, cheap plugs aside. Indie promotions, they have been hit a little bit harder, and it is a massive shame to see. Like, and even the wrestlers in WWE and like AEW, which have elected to not be a part of the tapings and not compete. Like, the double standards in WWE pisses me off so hard. They fucking say, oh, no, you're not going to get punished. Then they make an interim Cruiserweight Championship tournament because some guy can't travel. That's fair. That's absolutely fine. And then they strip Sami Zayn of the Intercontinental Championship because he couldn't compete. He couldn't defend the title.
I don't understand why they just didn't do an interim Intercontinental Championship, like, tournament. That would have been fine. Because they most likely they were upset at Sami Zayn for not wanting to be a part of it, even though he was fully capable of it, and they're dicks. Yeah, that was stupid. That was definitely a bad move.
Yeah, like, the tournament is pretty mint, but it's still incredibly disappointing. And then, Like I know,
I'm sure it'll become part of the storyline
at
some point in the future when Sammy's back, but right now it's just not very good.
I don't know how exactly the story, like what the full story is with the whole Roman Reigns situation, but like with him not being a part of it, they've had to do what they've had to do to work around it, which is fair. But then all the offhanded, like, it's really stupid because people are saying WWE, there's heat on Roman Reigns, and that Vince McMahon one day is up for promoting him and stuff, and then the next day he doesn't want anything to do with him. Like how he was cut out of the whole Seth Rollins winning montage at WrestleMania, and then the next night Fox aired this whole thing about Roman Reigns. And it's just like, it's really fucking confusing.
It is very odd.
But, like, WWE's... I know it's all because Vince McMahon can't make up his fucking mind. Like, I know WWE has all got double standards and stuff, but they're making themselves look bad in the long run. The only benefit that come out of this is no Saudi Arabia shows.
Yeah. I don't think there would have... I don't even think there would have been one anyway, because they only happen like half a year apart, right? Like every half a year. So they're probably waiting. If the most recent one happened in February, then I don't know. We'll see. I don't want another Saudi Arabia show.
No. I just caught up with The Last Ride, that whole series on the WWE Network. And the latest episode's so fucking funny because they just completely shit on the D-Generation X Brothers of Destruction tag team match at Crown Jewel. Oof. They completely shit on it, and then there's a bit where where Kane and the Undertaker are cutting one of the promos, and Kane just says, "Well, you got 3 words for us. We have 3 words for you." And then the Undertaker says, "Go fuck yourselves." And then Kane does the crotch chop, and everyone loses their shit. It's the funniest fucking shit. Like,
that's the mayor of Knox County doing that shit.
Yeah, no. He's the devil's favorite demon here. Okay, he's a different person. But right. Yeah, The Last Ride. The only reason I actually started watching it now is because they said it's a limited time series, which I don't know why they do that. Why do they do that?
Seems stupid to me.
This is a random tangent about the WWE Network, but they've taken down so many fucking mint shows that I've loved. Like, there was one show when the Hardy Boys returned, and it was all about their redemption and their story coming back, and then, like, 2 months later, they take it down. Why? It's such... To quote Vince McMahon, it's such good shit. And they're taking it down and removing it from the network for whatever reason. It's really annoying.
Yeah, I don't know why they would make a limited time documentary series. It just seems stupid.
Because they know people will buy it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. But apparently it's very good. I haven't seen it, but...
The Last Ride has been very good. The episode 4 is the next one, and it's about the Goldberg match.
Oh, F.
Yes, a big F. Cause it's really quite sad in a way because every episode he said, like, it starts back in 2017, and then with the Roman Reigns match, and it starts off with him going, "All right, this is probably going to be my final match," and then he loses to Roman Reigns, and he's just like, "Actually, no, that match was fucking trash. I'm gonna have my hip replaced, and I'm gonna come back." Comes back, John Cena match, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, that's probably gonna be my last match." And then he's just like, "Actually, no, that went for 3 minutes. Nah, I want to do something better." And then he just fucks up all the Saudi Arabia matches, and he's just really disappointed. And he's like, "Oh fuck, I need to find the match to end my career, a match that will be fucking amazing." But it's just like, you won't be able to put on a fucking amazing match because of your age. It's just gonna get worse and worse despite the hip replacement.
Yep.
So it's a bit sad to see. Anyway, tangent aside. Last Ride, good shit. Watch it.
Okay.
Anyway, empty arena shows. Yeah. it is a shame about the indie promotions. I do wish there are ways for them to survive or keep going with shows in their own way, but I'm glad promotions like ROH are still paying people. Mm-hmm. Like, that's nice. That's pretty considerate. Considering, like, I know America has a lot less benefits and, like, ways to preserve employees and everything. I don't know them. I don't know what it's like completely.
Mm-hmm. Me either.
But, like, yeah, so it's good but bad to see. But hopefully in the coming months, as it dies down, if there is no second wave, shows can start coming back and restrictions get lifted. Yeah. Hopefully. What has been your favorite match throughout the whole empty arena era?
I gotta say, the cage fight that just happened on NXT is up there for sure. But honestly, I don't know if I'm in the majority here, but while the Funhouse match was ridiculous, for me, I think I enjoyed the Boneyard match more, just because of how fucking weird and crazy it was. Because there was actual, like, proper, like, you know, kind of wrestling in there, and they kind of told the story with all the stuff happening. I just loved how fucking ridiculous it was. And, you know, the Funhouse match was ridiculous too, but it kind of, like, it lost me in a few places, other than John Cena doing some stupid shit, which is obviously fantastic. It was just kind of like wrestling sometimes, but like one move, and then Bray Wyatt disappears, and then John Cena does another shtick. It was. I prefer the Boneyard match as a method of storytelling, and especially because it actually allowed Undertaker to do something entertaining. It was just ridiculous, like the camera angles, the music. Well, not the camera angles, the cinematography as a whole. The music that they put in, just everything about the Boneyard match was just incredible.
What did you think of the punching sound effects whenever they
beautiful.
Got hit? Like, it fits, but you can definitely tell that's not the sound they're actually making. But it works. It's like an anime,
exactly,
in a way. So
and just, oh my god, Biker Taker's entrance and then his exit with the Metallica playing. And then the fucking
logo appearing on that fucking his logo appearing on that fucking shed in the fire. It's just like,
it is my favorite thing. It is so dumb, but it's beautiful. So that's definitely up there. Just the cinematic matches are actually pretty cool. I hope they at least keep, like, maybe once a year at WrestleMania they do something silly like that. It doesn't have to happen all the time, but I do, just because of how creative they've gotten with them, I do hope they keep them up. But I will say Stadium Stampede is just incredibly entertaining from start to finish. There's so much shenanigans around there, but just that whole match, it was like, what, 35 minutes or something, and the whole time I was smiling like an idiot because it was just so much fun to watch. Just everything from Matt Jackson's Northern Lights suplexing Sammy Guevara 100 times, from Sammy getting sprayed in the nuts with a sprinkler, to Santana and Ortiz changing Matt Hardy in the pool of reincarnation. Like, it's just so stupid.
I love the fucking Hangman Page, Jake Hager
bar fight, and with every Western movie trope ever. Incredible. It's amazing. Kenny Omega takes a shot of milk. Oh, it's incredible. It's just so good. I think I'd say that is probably my favorite match I've watched since the whole empty arena stuff started. But it's just, I don't know how you can compare it to every other match that anyone has put on, because it's in a league of its own. It's sports entertainment at its finest. It's just ridiculous and funny, and just involves all these, like, just fighting on a football field by itself would be enough to get me intrigued. But the fact that they just went everywhere, that Santana or Ortiz or whatever got duct taped to a wheelchair. The other one got thrown to the ice machine. Just the amount of creative shit they can do is incredible. So yeah, I would say that was my favorite. And you?
I'm inclined to agree with that because whereas like the Boneyard match was definitely more of a wrestling affair, it was definitely the match throughout the weekend that had the most wrestling feel despite being a cinematography match. Like, I loved the Firefly Funhouse match, but not because it was a match, because it was just a cesspool of memes.
It was.
And I loved it. It was just magnificent. And even the Money in the Bank ladder matches, you could say, like,
matches.
Interesting. It was definitely, again, more match type.
Yeah. I did like the Money in the Bank this year. I did like it.
Like the random jokes they threw in there, like the random people coming in.
I did like John Laurinaitis, though. That was funny.
I didn't. See, I didn't even like John Laurinaitis. Like, him just coming in doing his people power thing and then getting dunked by fucking Otis.
Yeah, that's funny.
Like, it's funny, but it wasn't needed. Like, they had enough comedy, like, with Dana Brooks slipping on the wet floor, like, and shit and dumb shit like that, which actually involves the wrestlers in the match. Like, I was perfectly comfortable with just all of that. And then they got a guy to dress up like Doink the Clown, and it was not the real Doink the Clown.
Well, he's probably about to die.
Yeah, and then the one guy, I forgot who he was, who said, "I love you, Ray," and Ray's like, "Love you too, man."
Yeah, brother love. That was the joke.
Brother love, yeah. It was just like not really necessary, but okay. Like they could have, if they didn't have those, I could still imagine the whole thing being magnificent. But yeah, like it's
I just enjoy seeing John Laurinaitis in pain.
Sorry, a truck just went past and I was distracted.
I just enjoy seeing John Laurinaitis in pain.
It's funny.
It's a carry on for like a carried over from my 10-year-old self.
Yeah,
11-year-old maybe. I don't know.
Fair. But yeah, I do think Stadium Stampede was just the perfect blend of everything. Like all the memes and comedy spots, like Chris Jericho asking the referee to check the replay.
Yeah.
And like everything about the Stadium Stampede was magnificent. And then like that final ending shot of Kenny Omega hitting the fucking one-winged angel off the fucking balcony or some shit. Like, that was fucking crazy. Like, it was the perfect blend of wrestling and entertainment. As in AEW in general, that's what they've been doing well. So, yeah, I can't go wrong. It's been doing very, very good. But, I mean, like, my second would be Firefly Funhouse match, then Boneyard, then Money in the Bank. Like, then again, I did also enjoy that tag team match at AEW that spilled out to the stadium, like the one that we watched.
Yeah, that was good too.
I thought that was fucking incredible. Like, that was just sick, because even the random shit like Matt Hardy changing like to his different personas, like I don't know why it works. It's stupid, but it works.
Yeah, it's definitely stupid. I'll say that. It was funny in Stadium Stampede, but I didn't quite figure out what exactly was happening the first time it happened. I just liked the golf cart spot.
Yeah.
Sammy's bump. What a legend. The fact that he vlogs kind of ruins it for me, but if Sammy didn't vlog, he'd have way more street cred. But I mean, I guess you can't blame him when he gets up to shit like this. Like that, he's probably one of the more interesting vloggers online. At least he actually does something with his life.
His vlogs are really hit or miss with me. His YouTube channel is hit or miss with me. It's like he's trying to being the elite, but just with a different cast of characters. It's really. But then a lot of the behind the scenes at AEW stuff has been interesting, but then a lot of the other shit, like him and his girlfriend as well answering mail or whatever, that's also not bad, but a lot of it is hit or miss. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoy him as a wrestler and entertainer. Like, just him in the ring, he's tremendous in the ring, and then he's funny when he needs to be. Like, he's got it down.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, MD Arena shows. I am curious to see how much longer this lasts. This era.
I did see something recently. It was today. An indie show. I can't remember the promotion, but it's taking place on June 20th, and they're allowing fans. So that is 3 weeks from now. So we'll see how that plays out. And I don't remember where. Like, it might, if it's in somewhere like Florida where things are really opening up again, then it would make more sense. But I actually don't know where it's taking place. All I saw was the headline from a news article about how they're allowing fans on a June 20th show. So yeah, we'll see how that goes over. I think it's getting close to the right time, assuming a second wave doesn't hit, to allow fans back in. But it's just, it's really tough to say. It's really taking a chance. And especially since it's an indie promotion, I imagine that it won't be a huge gathering of people, just like maybe a few hundred at most.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. I want fans back in arenas as much as anyone, but I also want people to stay safe. So
yeah, you definitely need to be more like considerate to try and knock out the virus rather than hastily get back to things without properly containing the situation. And feel like we're being a bit hasty, even here in Australia, where it's not as bad as anymore. People are still being a bit hasty.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't
either, because it's just there's no real way for us to tell when the heck it's gonna actually end. And when, like,
well, I don't think it's gonna go past this year.
Oh, definitely not. I agree.
It will end this year. Well, the only thing I want in sense of wrestling, I want Drew McIntyre to hold on to the championship until fans come
I think
back.
he will. I highly doubt they'll make him drop it before that happens. Especially since Bobby Lashley is his next challenger. He's not going to lose it to Bobby Lashley. You
never know. Maybe if they make him drop the title, then maybe he can win it back in front of a crowd. I don't know.
It won't happen to Bobby Lashley.
Imagine if Bobby Lashley became the WWE champion.
I don't want to imagine that.
He was frightening enough as the ECW champion back in the day. I don't really think it's more of a. I don't really think it's a frightening issue. I think it's just, no, I don't want that. It's Bobby Lashley. He's old and bald and bad. He's bad as in he doesn't do a lot, but what he does, he can make it look impressive. I don't mind his partnership with MVP.
If MVP can actually make Bobby Lashley seem threatening with a promo for Bobby Lashley that actually isn't terrible, I'll be on board. Because he's an intimidating man. But Bobby Lashley can't cut a promo.
Lana isn't streaming in the background.
That's why we had Lio Rush.
I know, but Bobby Lashley can't talk for shit. I agree with that. But as long as Lana doesn't scream in the background of the next promo, then I think I'm fine.
I mean, I liked the partnership with Lio Rush, but they just executed it wrong. And then now Lio Rush is gone. So that's cool.
That was mint, actually. Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. Like, it's, I'm the one who said it. Yeah, I liked the contrast they had, because Lio Rush was tiny, but he was a great promo. If they had just let him be his manager and not just, I get that managers distract people for Healy wins and stuff, but I think Leo got like too cowardly or something. I don't know. They tried to like make him more of like a wrestler than he should have been. He should have just been Bobby's manager. Like it shouldn't have been any more than that.
I actually think what they did with him worked incredibly well because he also had that whole that it was almost like a sketch where when he was being chased, he would like parkour his way out of any situation and he would get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
And then Bobby Lashley would come in and fucking kill everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it worked really fucking well. Like, the whole dynamic between the pair, the pair and what they did with them. Like, it just worked. I don't know why they ruined that. Like, it could have gone far.
Yeah, I don't know why they stopped doing the whole Leo Rush. I don't understand anything, apparently, in WWE. Like, it's just... Anyway, people have said this, but Vince McMahon, retire, please.
You either sit there and enjoy or hate it, and understanding it is a novel concept.
God, it's so annoying. Leo Rush is so good, and you just fucking... What a good wrestler, too.
Wasn't he let go?
Yes.
I wanted to do a whole video on my channel about the people that got released and everything. I feel like doing one of those Cultaholic videos, but on the members of the Nexus and where they all ended up, because literally, like, 2 of them are left, maybe, if that, in WWE. All these young prospects. It's just fucking Daniel Bryan now.
Yep.
It's Daniel Bryan and, who else? Bray Wyatt.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. That's all that's left. Everyone else was fucking gone. And it's so sad.
Yeah. Poor Heath Slater.
Oh, legit.
Poor
Heath Slater. But,
I wonder if I mean, I know he's on no compete right now, but I wonder if he's gonna wrestle again for another promotion. You know? It's hard to say.
Who the fuck knows? It's hard to predict anything nowadays, and it is massive shame about all the releases. There's a massive shame about all the furloughs, but
yeah,
let's... I don't know. We'll see what happens with the future of WWE, but I'm hoping that soon the empty arena era will end. Soon they'll get back to business as usual, and they'll maintain the idea of these cinematic matches.
Yep, I agree.
Hope they stick with it a bit, because although it is magnificent to have normal matches in a ring with the crowd and everything, that's pure wrestling. It's magnificent.
Yeah.
But what they've got here, they have found gold in shit, but they have to just keep the momentum up with those matches. But
yeah,
they're failing a lot with the week-to-week shows, WWE. But I don't know. We're going around in circles. We'll see what the world holds for the future of wrestling. Hopefully, if the empty arena shit ends soon, we'll see it will all pick up again and ratings will get back up, because I know WWE, they're fucking tanking. They are not doing good.
Yep.
But, yeah, see how it all goes.
Maybe. If we make it that far.
But, yeah, unless you got anything else to add.
I was going to say something and I just forgot what it was. Seems to be a theme.
Think for a minute, otherwise I'll move towards the outro.
Okay. What was I going to say?
Deep thought time with Gus.
I don't have any deep thoughts. My brain is like non-existent.
Your brain is like your existence?
No, my brain is non-existent. It doesn't exist. What I'm saying is I'm stupid. Long story short, TLDR. God, I still can't remember what the fuck I was gonna say. I was gonna say something about like, oh yeah, that's it. I was gonna say something about the cinematic matches. So the thing is, for paying fans in the arenas, the cinematic matches are probably a letdown. Because, you know, you're literally just watching shit on a TV, which you could have done from home. So it's going to be a tough situation for everybody involved to figure out what exactly they should do regarding cinematic matches, because I do think they're incredible and they do have a place in wrestling as a whole, especially nowadays. But it's hard to tell where we should place them and what they like, because if you do that during a full pay-per-view where fans are in the arena, like those fans are going to be mad about it, because they're literally all just sitting there watching stuff on the TV. So I just think that
anyway. They do that anyway with
continue the
backstage
cinematic
promos.
matches, which I think they should. They should probably be either one-off matches that are just put on the WWE network randomly. Not randomly, obviously, but like and in certain times that are just like complete one-off matches that are just on the network. Or they should be put at like the very end of
exclusive
pay-per-views,
one-off matches,
so that the audience can see
on the WWE
like basically a full pay-per-view in the arena, and then maybe if they want to stick around, they can watch the cinematic match, and that will be the last thing, or something along those lines. Because I imagine for paying fans in those arenas, the cinematic matches are a bit frustrating, or would be, since that hasn't been a situation that we've had to deal with yet. But that's the only thing I'll say is, like, especially for WWE, they'll be in a bit of a pickle when it comes to figuring out what to do with the cinematic type matches. And I do hope they continue, but it's going to be hard to say. So that was the thing I wanted to address.
I was going to say that, like, I do think they could make it work anyway, because, like, I mean, you have backstage promos, backstage brawls, you have all that shit that people don't see in person, which,
but
like,
the difference is those last like 2 minutes or less.
I know, like, I get what you're saying, but then the idea of having one-off cinematic matches on the WWE network, like that, not only does that create intrigue for the network, that also, like, can build up a storyline elsewhere. Like, if they, like, because I know they got different crews going with people to different house shows and all that, but imagine if they set one crew aside and was just like, all right, like, every few months we're going to do a cinematic match with these guys to continue the rivalry, or to, like, because I can imagine, like, that whole Johnny Gargano Tommaso Ciampa feud, like, the way that ended in a completely different arena.
Yeah.
I could imagine that not being their last match, but if they had to do it during, like, if they were given the chance to do that without a crowd, like, yeah, it works, but then have the final match in front of the crowd, but it's already done, so it doesn't matter. But, like, I could still imagine something like that working as a network exclusive.
Yeah,
that would
for sure.
That would have been pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to talk about. I was thinking about it, and then I just forgot, so... Oh well.
No problem. No problem. We've gone a little over an hour. That works for me. So, thank you all so much for hearing our opinions on the current empty arena era of wrestling. If you want to let us know your thoughts on the empty arena era, what are your favourite matches that have come out of it, and anything of the sorts, leave them in the comments down below. Follow us, or let us know by tweeting at us at FireStorm Pod on Twitter. As well, if you have any questions or suggestions, then please leave it in the comments below, or email us at firestormproductions2@gmail.com. And stay tuned, as I said, this coming weekend, or early Monday morning for Americans, we've got a special guest coming in for a little chat, conversation, and interview. I think it goes just under an hour, or just over an hour. Actually, it's just over an hour. He's a pro wrestler, an indie pro wrestler, hailing from New Zealand. He is a top bloke.
Very nice man.
Very nice man. And, yeah, we hope you check that out, and subscribe for more batshit fucking crazy content, because that's what we're known for. All the juicy, thick content. Ooh. Anyway, whoa. Thanks for listening, guys. Have a good one.
Wait, I just farted. Well, Goodbye.
What? I can smell it from here. Fuck.